Trish Kelly.
Frank. Now, Frank came in and got our competitive juices going because he told us somebody had 7 pieces of paper. So so now we know how Frank operates, but we accelerated our verbiage, shall we say. All right, so our first thing was what should... Oh! We have quality as well as quantity. I hope. So the first thing, what should Cal EPA do after the regulation's approved? Because this is our next step opportunity. So Gary was really very articulate about this, so if I miss anything, but quickly find out if we... Gary, you and I'll do the rest.
Just every community is going to have to do a local outreach as part of the mandatory commercial recycling. So when they do the commercial outreach, all we were saying is include issues that they could do to address recycled content manufacturing and ask businesses that are getting the message, what do they use? Do they use any recycled materials, any reuse systems, any compost systems? Get some feedback information in. What would it take for them to use more of that type of stuff and use it as an interactive process? So it's not just information from the local governments. There's actually a process that gets going, and we use this as a huge opportunity of market development.
Okay, so the next step was there seemed to be a lot of things going on in terms of market development, but they're kind of disparate and they're not connected, and Cal Recycle is maybe working on several areas, but what are other agencies doing too? So can we kind of catalog and understand better what all these efforts are and then connect them better? The next part was on the deregulation. We have a lot of agencies that are not working together, and everybody's experienced this, different kinds of requirements, conflicting things, really long time processes. So in the guise of it's kind of the permit streamlining, but to the next level. And what the suggestion was getting the various agencies together and having them come up with a process and defining sort of a lead who can organize that process better and create really central goals for what we're all going for in a central location. And the Strategic Growth Council, which is an interagency partnership with 5 agencies, is a mechanism that we may begin to be able to use to foster some of the discussion. There have to be work groups on a more practical level. Somebody else suggested that one strategy that we could use is to have a pre-approvement process. So if you meet the criteria on the front end, then you're able to move through the process more quickly. And then you can deal with the more difficult issues after that. But everybody, if you meet a threshold, you can move forward. And we had some examples of that, so they're up there in other areas. One of the things that was talked about was that the limitations seem to fall into cost areas, regulatory areas, infrastructure, and kind of commodities of the supply areas. So where could we find niches to take some action? So one of the big recommendations was setting up or working with the infrastructure bank to really talk about a process for green financing, green banks, where people can access capital and make our capital work in our communities. And so one of the suggestions was looking at the model of AB 811, where you can use some local public financing, at least in the commercial side right now, for green buildings and energy efficiency. So maybe we can do this for some of these other recycling kind of efforts. And in terms of the supply and demand network for small and medium businesses, we already do have sort of an exchange with CalMax, but maybe we could beef this up and make this more efficient. It's something that's already in place, but we could make this more efficient for this market exchange, especially for the small and medium-sized business. And really promoting, another avenue would that be working with groups like the California Association of Public Purchasing Officers. So again, getting the word out, getting the market organized in the information exchange, and other private sector type of associations. So again, going back to AB 811, that's the PACE program is what that was called. So. And then another idea might be to relicense and revamp existing technology and helping provide incentives for companies to get to upgrades. Let's see. We would also like the idea of expanding the rebate programs to grow markets and provide that kind of incentive. So it's a self-finance, but we could apply it to different kind of products and different aspects of the industry. And doing this in a collaborative way, working in public-private sector partnerships, working with the industry associations to find out what kind of incentives that the rebates could be used for, and how they could work together to develop the right kind of self-financing mechanism. The other point that was made was the need for public outreach. A lot of people just really sort of don't know about this in the community, and the community can help drive a lot of these changes and uses of the products and services. So we need to really get out and educate people, and they will support it, but define the issue, and the public support can carry this forward. And then there are a lot of changes going on in the demographics, going back to what Bill was talking about education. New generations have different needs or desires in the future, and that will help create a market. And then the last point was having more certification programs. So there we go. And thank you, Michelle, for scribing. Thank you very much to the group.
Thank you, Trish Kelly with Applied Development Economics.